Hello, greetings. My name is AJ Lewis. I'm a yoga therapist and an intimacy coach. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough of the Inner Workspace. The Inner Workspace is a digital wellness tool or digital wellness space that I've created to be used as a companion tool to integrate our work together. So in between our sessions, it'll be a great tool to use during different practices or meditation or breath work. And it also gives different features for using a journal and reflections, and also goal setting with intentional statements, practice analytics, as well as a resources page. There's also a message feed too that we can use to share insights as the journey goes. So it's a really great tool, completely designed using the platform called Notion. And I'll show you in the walkthrough how all of the different pages and features can sort of flow together so that you can really make the most use out of the tool. And one of the best things about this tool is that it's completely customizable. So once I give you a workspace, this is your own private workspace, and you can move things around or change different properties and colors or pictures, and just really make it your own. And you can also use the tool for only very specific features that appeal or resonate with you, and or you can use the whole thing too. But in any case, I'll be right there along with you to assist you and answer any questions as you're navigating through. So let's get started with the walkthrough. Okay, so here we are onto the main dashboard page of the Inner Workspace, and as you can see, I just have a really sort of soft landing here with a rotating quote widget at the top, and in the top section here, we have an area to enter new practices, daily journal, and a weekly overview. And there's different toggles here that kind of explain what the different parts of the dashboard and the space, how they function. So feel free to just kind of click around and explore what's there. In the daily journaling, I provide you with some journal prompts up here to get you started on reflecting on anything that you feel would be helpful to make note of. And this journal, the Inner Notes, is actually a database behind this page, which is linked between all of the different pages. So whatever updates or entries you make to this Inner Notes journal, it will be reflected throughout the entire workspace. And I'll just do different things here so that you can kind of see how how you can play with this. So entering a new practice entry, this is how you would log a practice that you've completed or practices that you've completed for that day. And there's one particular box here that says practice core intentions. So further down this page, I'll show you where you can set core intentions that are kind of essentially like your North Star for the entire program. And once you've completed those, you can check that off, and then as you're filling in each practice entry, one of the requirements is to fill in the linked week. So this helps to just link our databases on the back end so that we know which week we're logging each practice on. So we're on week 1. We'll click here and click on week 1. And so we can enter in different practices: meditation, movement, journaling, creative, breath work. And I want to just see here is like whatever you put in there, it's going to be saved into this particular practice log entry. And then there's different values here for logging your mood, your energy, and your sleep. So 1 through 5 is the scoring range for these. So if you're feeling in a great mood, you go 5, or lower energy, you can go 2. If you feel like you had a great night's rest with a little bit of room for improvement, you can go 4. And these just help with calculating averages in the analytics section. And then there is a small property here for quick notes if you would like to add anything there, but I'm just going to leave it blank for now. And then the week's theme, I'll show you this later, but this is essentially how would you categorize this week? And this can always be updated as you go along, because as you move from week to week, it might be helpful to sort of look back and have a quick reflection or quick way to sort of synchronize the shifts that you've been seeing or growth that you've been seeing, and maybe there's a specific breakthrough on a specific week that might help understand what's been going on. So within each practice log entry, we also have another inner notes copy here. So you can, if you wanted to add more notes specific to both this entry, but also to get saved into your journal, you could just enter here and add a new page for your note. And adding a new entry for your inner note, you can click here on new page, or you can also click on this new button up here, and that'll open up a page that has the date on it, today's date, but it's also, I would say, just helpful to just make sure that double check to see that you have all of the or you have a chance to enter in the date or the tags that you would want to associate for this specific entry, or if you want to add in a context. So within this context property, you can add in practices, intentional statements. So what is the sort of relevant context that you would like to associate for this particular note? If it's something that an insight that you receive specific to a session, or something from parts work, or something from journaling, you can do so here. And if you'd like to save a URL or a related author for this note, you can also add those here. So lots of different ways to customize these notes. So I'm gonna, it's hard to see with this Zoom screen. There we go. And then here is a weekly overview. So as you start to add in your practices for the week, it'll all get counted up here, giving you a sort of sleek view of all the unique practices, how many days you've practiced your core intentions, and how many practices you've done in that particular week. And moving on further down the main page here, so the session guide is where you can keep track of any specific notes regarding the specific sessions. If you want to save notes that we sort of pass back and forth, I typically provide a session summary after each session. So if you like, you can save that into here. Or if you're doing some preparation in between, there's more properties that you can work with in between the sessions. So if there's a specific energy that you were feeling for that specific session, whether heavy, foggy, stuck, intense, and you can also add different things to each of these. So you don't have to stay with this pre-selection, but you can add your own. And so pathways is another property. It's kind of like a tag. So if there's a specific energy or a specific breakthrough that you found through a specific practice that we've shared together, for instance, hypnotherapy or parts work or meditation, this would be a great place to add that. And as you look past at all the sessions, then you can see sort of which ones might have been sort of impactful in specific ways for you. And there are some prompts here too. Sometimes I like to recommend to people to use some pre-session notes. So like, what are you noticing in your body, mind, or heart? What do you want to explore? And then there's some after as well. How do you feel afterward? What do you feel wants to be remembered or carried forward, or next steps? These are all great prompts to sort of integrate all the work that's being done. And I need to go backwards. All right, so that's the session guide. And if there's any homework that comes from those sessions, you can actually add any of those items in here. And there's space here to add a URL and a source if you wanted to add the specific session. And there's also a watch portal. So you'll see this in a couple places in the workspace, but if there's a video that's tagged in your notes and you'd like to watch it, you can just drag the link or embed it here. You can also replace, and whatever sort of link you have, you can just watch it straight inside this workspace page. And here is kind of like the spine of the entire workspace. It's the intentional statements section. So these are the core intentional statements that we're going to be working with as we do this depth work together. And this is helpful for just connecting the practices, your energies, your purpose, your truth, your inner truths, into like really feeling into the edges of where you feel like you can really make some shifts in the subconscious mind around what really will serve you, what really will help you make that next step or help you get into the next phase of expansion. And so I give you some helpful tips to crafting some of these statements using simple and present tense language, something that's very sort of clear and concise. I have the ability to slow down. I am safe to be fully seen and be me. I choose honesty over perfection. So I give you a pretty much this gallery here to tie to each intention, and there's room here to play with these, and it's meant to evolve and grow as we do through this journey. And there's different categories that can be added and different properties here, why this matters, supporting practices. So as you complete practices that support this intention, you can log those. And the idea is that we want to try to stay consistent with these. And there's like a streak counter that also helps with this practice as well. When to embody, that's a property that helps with understanding where you feel this intention is most relevant. And then there's a progress bar here too, from 1 to 10. So whatever value you feel like you've embodied this intention or integrated its wisdom, you can start to creep that up to whatever you feel. So as you get, and then as you finish them, you can actually change the status to completed. All right. And these are the different views for the this dashboard right here, or this gallery right here. So if you click inactive, you'll see all the inactive cards, and then all, and core focus. Core focus are the ones that you've marked as being in progress. And you can either have cards that are sort of like primary intentions, or more supportive, a more supportive role in terms of what you're focusing on, but still important, or something that you're just exploring, which are all valid. Whoops. Okay. let's get ourselves back here. There we go. So those are the intentional statements, and this is just a calendar view of all of the different practices as they happen. Just a nice visual. And then that's kind of the longest part of this walkthrough. For the rest of it, I'm going to kind of just shift through the other pages. So there's a practice space, which is designed to just give you a space to engage with all of the practices. And there's a toggle here for some practice sutras that are really helpful. And another section that just basically showing what your core intentions were and which ones you're working with. So these were the two that were selected as in progress. And here is a practice toolkit that it will have, this was being worked on at the time of this recording, but all of the different sort of meditations and classes and practices that serve different purposes will be saved in here. For breathwork, meditation, mantra practice, movement, ritual, or rest and sleep. So yoga nidra, and yeah, so there'll be more recordings coming for those particular sections. And down here is more of a journaling area, practice reflection. So up here is more active. Here is a little bit more reflective. And if you want a clock or a sort of a timer or stopwatch, you can click that toggle here, and it shows you the time. A customizable stopwatch, or excuse me, timer and a stopwatch underneath of it. Yeah, and here's another iteration of the inner notes. So if you have things that you want to check here to bring into a reflection phase, you can. We have some journaling prompts, and we also have a parts work section using the inner aspect method, which I go through with my clients using this IM or inner aspect method of similar to internal family systems in the therapy world, with some slight nuances in terms of how we build these inner tribes or inner communities for the purposes of healing and growth and expansion. And very valuable, very impactful, very potent practice. And we'll show you how to build these conscious relationships with all these parts, and kind of create like these separate cards for each. So it's a really neat way to build that relationship. And then there will be a section for future shared practices that I am shipping out. So that is the practice space page. And coming back down here to the navigation center area, we have the Inner Notes Sanctuary, Practice Analytics, and Shared Thread. These will be a little bit quicker. The Inner Notes Sanctuary, this is basically where you have a chance to use your Inner Notes journal and to integrate any of those in with specific actions. So if you basically want to focus on specific notes that you've marked because you know that they're very just sort of rich with wisdom or something, then you can click it here, and you basically have a chance to just reflect on it, to journal on it, and to just try to figure out how can you make it more into a regular practice. And we outlined some of those steps here, and you can create sort of next steps or lists here in the integration actions section. So very compact page here to work with your notes and bring some of those threads of wisdom into embodied action. And for the next page, practice analytics. So this is the data behind your growth. Here, this is where all of the practice trackers are sort of being saved behind the workspace. There's a space here for streak data. So as you start to complete practices, you'll see what your current streaks are for breathwork, meditation, movement, and core intention. It'll show you like, what your longest streak is in general. So as well as giving you a breakdown of your badges. So there's a system in here that counts how many practices you've done, and you get awarded badges accordingly, which is a cool incentive. For daily practices and streaks, there is a list here of all the current practices from this current week, and as well as your inner notes. You're going to see a space to journal pretty much on every page, almost every page. And your practice logs listed here as well for the past 2 weeks with a little bit more information, just sort of readily available. And then those get aggregated into your weekly stats. So you get to see how well you were sleeping, what your mood and energy was, and which badges you've earned for that week. So I'm just going to collapse those. And to navigate around, you have to come back to this home page here. And then next is going to show you the shared thread. So this is the message feed that is the only shared page between myself and whoever's using the workspace. So if there's any insights that, for instance, if we want to just sort of keep relevant to the work that's being done through the program, those could go in here. And this can be useful if we don't necessarily if you want to keep things directly in the workspace and not have to go through the email system, or feel like we're necessarily bugging each other through text or voice note. Even those are all channels that are available. This is just one more channel that gives us a chance to just share sort of deeply reflective information between each other. And then the last page is the resources and admin. So you'll see a link here that goes back to the onboarding page with the form and waiver, as well as a sort of a welcome package and some additional FAQs and articles and things of that nature. All very just sort of useful. And yeah, that completes the end of the walkthrough. Uh, Sorry that it took a little bit. But typically, I also go through a one-on-one demonstration as well, just to kind of give whoever's using the workspace a chance to become acclimated and yeah, to just make it as useful as possible for integrating within sort of their journey. And with that, thank you very much for your attention and see you around.